Welcome to Breaking MedTech. I am Ryan. This is Cope. His real name's Mark. I can't call him that.
No.
We discuss real challenges, strategies, and innovations in medtech sales and marketing. Our goal is to give you some insights and practical advice that will help small medtech companies and startups navigate sales and marketing in the constantly evolving industry of medtech.
Right, because we have been in it for a long time.
Yep.
And we have made many mistakes.
So many mistakes.
We've seen hundreds more make same mistakes and other mistakes.
Worse mistakes.
And we've had some wins and we've had some successes. And so if we can tell you about some of the things we've seen, maybe we can help you make your own set
Less mistakes. Less mistakes.
Right. And so today's topic was you're on a budget, right? You're a small medtech startup. Maybe you haven't made any money yet. You're pre-revenue, as the cool guys call it.
Pre-rev.
Or you're up like $1 million. Which, by the way, congratulations on everything you've gotten to. It's very difficult to do what you've done, and we have a tremendous appreciation for it. And we like working with companies like you. At least I do. I won't speak for why you do. I do because we're going to go figure it out. We're going to go figure it out together, and I like that. I think that's cool to me. I know you have a lot of experience with it as well, but we're talking today about not having much of a budget, because you really don't, right? Mm-hmm. For marketing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And let's assume like, because I look at it as like two different things. Like there's legit like we don't have a budget.
Right.
And then there's like we don't actually budget for marketing.
Right.
And good luck if you're one of those groups, because if you're one of the groups who have never budgeted for marketing, you're probably never going to budget for marketing.
Right. And so let's describe a couple things we've seen that should have been bigger tip-offs of the problems. I've been with and helped a couple of venture capital backed or sort of angel investor backed startups. And you go to their place and they have a really nice office, but they don't have much budgeting for marketing. And I think, you got enough for a nice office, but not enough for something that grows your business. Because, by the way, your office doesn't.
Cost you money.
It doesn't grow your business. I've seen that, and I always think, well, that's rather odd when you could work in some less sophisticated place to maximize your investors.
But when they have that once a year board meeting, in-person board meeting, they want it to be
right. Well,
to be cool.
Okay.
Sarcasm.
Yeah. What else? I've seen also companies that say, "Oh, we didn't budget for it," or "We should get to that. We should do that.
We should do that. We didn't budget for it." Sometimes they don't know how to budget for it. They don't understand what things actually cost.
I think marketing and sales and some other things. Let me flip it around. Quality, QMS, quality management systems, that's a black box to me. I don't understand much. I understand enough to be conversant, but I don't understand it. I hope to keep it that way. Mm-hmm. But I think marketing is a black box to a lot of non-marketing people, because it's such a broad definition, and there's 87 million different ways to do it. It seems like. Yeah.
And I also, it's also like, not to be woe is me, but like, nobody ever really likes the marketer in work. Like maybe the marketer is the most fun person outside of work, or like the salesperson is the most fun person outside of work. But like, maybe we're saying this because we're like sales and marketing people. But I always feel like most of these groups go like, I mean, we have to have the sales and marketing guys and girls, but like, let's be honest, they're not helping grow the business, which is idiotic because we're the only ones making money.
Right. Yeah, I have heard places who are like that, and I think best of luck.
Yeah. So you don't have a budget, okay?
Right.
So you don't have a budget, whether you didn't budget for it and now you're trying to make things work, which is like a real thing. Because if you're like, if you're, budgets are tight for these companies, and they usually have to, like, their investors are like, how are you going to spend my money, company that hasn't made money?
Right.
So like, you better tell me. They're almost like a parent, like, well, what are you going to spend that $100,000 on?
That's exactly what they do.
What are you going to spend that
Which you can understand.
Yeah, completely. I'm not giving anybody. So like, and if it's January, well, budgeting season's typically October, November, December, you're finishing your budgets right now, and you didn't budget for marketing, and then 6 months down the road, your CEO or somebody goes, hey, how are we going to generate leads? We're not getting any leads. What are we going to do? And you go, well, I need some money. And they're like, we literally don't have any money that we can give you. And that might legitimately be the case. They might not be lying. Or if you're just a small company and you just don't actually have, if you wanted the money,
yeah,
but you don't have it.
Well, so Ryan, let's say you and I start a small med device company, and we're doing everything, which is what they often are.
Yep.
Right. This morning's quality management person is also this afternoon's HR person, or I think you could do guerrilla marketing in a way these days that's less time consuming, less expensive than ever before. Do you agree?
1,000%.
So let's talk about guerrilla marketing in the case, because that's kind of, by the way, that's GUERILLA, like rebels.
Yeah.
Not like orangutans.
They're not gorillas.
They grow up to be gorillas. I don't know if you know
They don't.
That. Yeah, they do. Monkeys grow up to be. I'm sorry, I remember going. The monkeys grow up to be gorillas. Gorillas grow up to be orangutans. Yeah, it's pretty complicated. We'll talk about that later.
I don't even know what to say.
I know, it's so stupid. It's an old joke. So all right, so let's talk about guerrilla marketing, because I think I'm holding up my Android. I know you're an Apple guy, but like I'm holding up my mobile device. These things have made guerrilla marketing so cheap and so easy to do.
Called the barrier to entry has been lowered
almost to the cost of this.
Yeah, I mean, and it's funny. Like I pointed out to you once about like the camera of like you have a camera. Everybody, literally everybody has a. When you look at your iPhone isn't $1,000 because it can call people. It's $1,000 because it could take a photo in 4K.
You can do you can make a feature film on it.
What's his name? Aaron Sorkin?
Did he do? I knew somebody did.
I think he did that.
So that's your point. The barrier to entry is
your phone, which you probably already have.
Can you grip your phone, right? So I do think so that's an example of it's not that hard. You can do it. And frankly, even if you're not in marketing and sales, you can do it. But what would you start doing? What would you suggest to people? Or you and I started this company, and we're not in sales and marketing, but we know we have a phone, and we know we need to do it.
Okay, and we're gonna make the assumption that if you're a med tech company and you're the founder, or we're the founders, like we're living this problem every single day.
Right, we're engineers, or we're clinician inventors, like we're those types of so many people are.
Okay, because it's easier for them than if like you and I literally just went and bought a company or an idea or a patent from somebody, because like we don't have that experience, right? But if you're somebody who's a clinician or an engineer and you're coming up with this idea, and you could literally, he's not joking when he says you could do everything from your phone.
Yeah.
You do not have to do anything from your phone. There are tools you could use to make it easier. Cameras make it easier. Editing on computers make it easier. And all this makes it easier. But you could do literally everything from your iPhone or your Android.
Could you make the video we were talking about before?
Yes.
The black and white, then into color video?
You could, actually.
I know. That's why I'm laughing.
So like,
I'm kind of joking, but not really.
All right. So what tools we would use? All right. We're going to use LinkedIn. Free.
Yep.
Well, it costs you an email. But you already have one of those, so free. LinkedIn, okay? You're going to use your LinkedIn profile to make organic content, all right? And I'm going to tell you how to do that.
Okay, so hold on.
Yeah?
Organic content means...
You're not paying for it.
Okay, that's the actual definition. Okay.
Yeah, organic would be
You're making your own.
You're making your own. Right. It costs you time. It costs you, but you're not paying for the channel.
Right.
So you're not paying for LinkedIn. You're not boosting it. You're like, this is an organic.
You are just talking
Yes.
into the social media platform,
Yeah.
in this case, LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Agreed.
All right.
By the way, do you base it on LinkedIn because it's the platform now, or is that because it's where your customers are?
So you should be where your customers are.
Okay.
But if like you're a B2B company, I would say LinkedIn. And I know that there are people out there who are going to go like, well, not all the doctors are on LinkedIn. Not all the healthcare administrators are on LinkedIn. I would go, there's a lot of healthcare administrators on LinkedIn.
There's more than I think people, including me, thought.
Well, and they're like lurkers. Just because they don't interact on LinkedIn every single day, and like high-fiving people doesn't mean that like they're not seeing your stuff or following people or like you like it just
high-fiving.
Well, I'll give you the perfect example.
Yeah.
You have 8,500 followers.
Something to that. Yeah,
okay,
like that.
It's very popular. He has 8,500 followers. How many people interact with you on LinkedIn? Like if I said not total.
Right. 50?
Okay.
Maybe?
That's a really low percentage. But there are 8,500 people out there who follow you to listen to you talk about value analysis.
Yeah, I have been shocked at how many people have said, I watch your videos, I read your stuff, and
never commented on it.
And I would have never had any idea. And they're not, I don't think they're BSing me. Like, I'm actually shocked. And I got a pretty good BS detector, and they're not BSing me because then they quote stuff and like, oh yeah, that video you did a couple weeks ago. And I was like, me, I can't remember what I had for lunch. I can't remember. I'm like, oh yeah, thanks. I really appreciate that. And then I'm like, I don't remember what I said.
Yeah, it was completely out. He forgot it the second.
I'm like Ron Burgundy. Oh my God.
I'm Ron Burgundy.
But yeah, you're right. So like these lurkers are out there. So you're saying LinkedIn is great because that seems to be where everybody kind of is professional.
Or moving towards. So like I would say LinkedIn is super bullish on becoming that platform.
Okay.
So like outside of the fact that it kind of is that platform, they're 1,000% invested in being that platform. Yeah. Like that's who they want to be. So even if you're going like, well, not all of my audience is there today, they're going to
they may be there.
They might like bet on it being there in the future. And because my thing would be like if I was selling to ASC administrators, what's that ASC magazine that we both get?
Oh, outpatient
surgery. I like outpatient surgery.
So do
outpatient surgery is great. It's not cheap advertising in there. So like, and that's not organic, and you don't own the channel, so you're renting space on that channel, and it's something that maybe is in your budget. But if it's not in your budget, you got to go organic. So LinkedIn organic,
right? So people say social media, and I think there's like it tends to be particularly the older. The people that you're like, social media. I think I actually wish there was a better term for it, but it is the single most influential, inexpensive marketing and sales invention, I think, of the past 50 years. And it's all right there, and it lets you do guerrilla marketing. So you said LinkedIn is a platform.
So LinkedIn is a platform.
Right.
So, and if you're a founder, you have unlimited topics to talk about. I promise you, you do. You don't know it yet, or you don't know how to formulate the ideas. But like you have unlimited time. You're having conversations with customers every single day. You can keep it completely anonymous. I know you do it sometimes of like, hey, I talked to somebody. I learned this thing. This helps me understand this better. Or hey, we did a trial at this hospital, and here were the 3 things that we learned. We learned this.
Yeah.
Right, and it shows expertise. You're like, you're building this audience, and it takes time, and time is worth stuff. But again, if your sole purpose is selling something, which it is as a company, then I'm telling you, it is way more important on like, I love my quality people. I don't know any. But like, we want the coolest and greatest QMS system. Or can you get a QMS system that works, save $20,000 and actually spend it on some other stuff? I don't know, maybe. Like, we really have to have this meeting so we can provide, we got to spend the entire third week of every month we spend preparing board slides for like it's like spend that time focusing on LinkedIn.
So let's talk. I like that. So we're LinkedIn is part of our guerrilla marketing campaign, and we'll talk about a couple of things I learned that helped me on that if we have time. But what else should we be? We should be using our phone.
Use your phone
and the camera and video capabilities.
Recording videos,
creating our own sort of content.
Yep.
Right. And we can talk more. Anybody who has questions about what we are talking about, just ping us. We'll answer you. We're here to help. So that's what we're trying to do, but we're also trying to break stuff and annoy people to an extent, or at least I am. But so what else? So they should be doing that. What else can you think of that they should be doing that's maybe not just social media marketing? Is there anything outside of it? Should you be going to trade shows? You don't have much money.
You don't have much money. So I know we talked about this before, but if you're going to go to a trade show, you can go to a trade show. Just make sure that you're spending your money intelligently at the trade show.
Well, that's a little vague though.
So, all right. So make sure that if you're going to go to a trade show, are you going to follow up with leads? Are you going to, do you have a plan of how you're going to get people into the booth? Are you going
so that's why people should have, I've heard you urge them, have a cheap, inexpensive CRM.
Yeah. So have a CRM, right? So that doesn't you don't need
customer relationship management.
Yeah, system. Yeah. So have a CRM. They don't cost. We're not. We're
$20 a month.
Yeah,
max.
And there's.
Just for a license for the company, so you're just capturing everybody you talk to and snippets of what you discuss.
Use go get MailChimp. It's
you'd use that.
What are we? Because if they're actually going to use it. If they're actually going to use it for a CRM, then get a CRM. MailChimp has would I call it a great CRM? No, but it has the email marketing capabilities,
which is what you really need.
Which is really what you need for a CRM if you're one of these groups and you're trying to do marketing. How many companies do you and I know that have Salesforce, HubSpot, Zoho, Monday, Click, I'm just making up names at this point.
And then they have all those people they meet at the conference in a spreadsheet.
And they have I go, do you have a CRM? And they go, yeah, we have a CRM. And I go, do you use it? And they go, absolutely not. And I go, well then what is the point of having, you're complaining about a CRM, you're not using it. So if that's the case, just go get a marketing focused CRM because not SurveyMonkey. Oh my God. MailChimp. MailChimp has the email capabilities.
This all started with orangutans and gorillas.
MailChimp has the email capabilities. And they have a really simplistic CRM. But if you're not using, if you're we're not, that's not a real CRM. I'll be like, well, do you really use your real CRM?
Well, it's funny. I have a 620 person alumni association associated with my college basketball team. And we just use Constant Contact.
Yeah.
And it, in essence, is our CRM. I never really thought about it until you just brought it up. Because we use it for outbound email communications of when games are, when events are, when fundraising things are. And I never really thought about that. You're right. That's really what...
It's a CRM. It's not a sales-focused CRM.
Right. So it's a marketing focus. So let's go through the list of things so far. Phone. Check.
Yes.
LinkedIn, check.
Mm-hmm.
A marketing-based CRM like MailChimp, like Constant Contact, something like that. You can use other things like HubSpot or Salesforce or Nutshell, but you don't need them necessarily. And if you're just doing guerrilla marketing.
If all you're doing is guerrilla marketing, you just want those emails because you've built I would tell you, you're going to have a website and your website's going to have... You're going to nurture those people along, or you're going to have sales email sequences and
I didn't know we were going to end up here, but let's talk about this for a second because we still have a couple minutes. I love this, right? So imagine this: Ryan and Cope's med device company has those three. And I'm going and interviewing. Let's say my end user is a director of the emergency department,
Okay.
right? Software. I'm selling software to them, whatever. Selling some equipment that lets them monitor something. And I'm calling on those people, but I'm interviewing them, talking to them about like, hey, what's going on, like heart rate? And they let me take a picture of them while they said, hey, here's the 3 things that are driving all of us crazy, right? Which is content, by the way.
Yeah.
Great content,
It
as
is
a matter
great
of fact.
content.
So not only do I post it on our LinkedIn page, but the 250 emails that I've gotten from trade shows that are in SurveyMonkey, MailChimp. I'm telling you, man.
Constant
I'm telling you,
SurveyMonkey chimp.
Oh, Darwin. We're doing Darwin here. I'm also taking that post that I did and that content, and I'm sending an email to everybody saying, hey, we were at this conference and here's what's going on. Do you guys think these are the 3 big? What are the 3 biggest things? What's something else that we like? I now can go outbound with that concept and put it on LinkedIn and potentially create some inbound. And then, but like I'm repurposing that and using it to the people. So I'm staying in touch with the people who were interested, who stop by but don't need us or don't see the value or we're not ready for, or they're like we talked on previous podcasts, they're in Oregon and we're in Oklahoma. Well, at least I'm keeping them interested and engaged with things that are interesting to them, right? But like, so right now, what we're doing is we're creating the resistance. We are the guerrilla marketing, and we're creating our band of brothers up in the hills. I mean, that's literally what this is like, right? So am I misstating?
No, you're, and the only thing I would tell you is like, don't post it on your company channel, post it on your channel.
Yeah, exactly.
You are favored, like
on LinkedIn through the
LinkedIn personal channel. If you do,
which is weird, you'd think it'd be business, but it's not.
No, it's not. And so like if you have if you have no one else, you could do the company channel, but do it on your own personal channel. But no, I don't think that's like, because if you have a really good idea and you're constantly posting and you're like a founder and you're sharing these ideas and you're saying things and you're like, it's not just product.
Yeah.
Right? It's just like, hey, am I adding value? What was the t-shirt that you wanted me to make?
We got to get those made.
Help solve their problems, not your problems. Not yours. Right. And you're actually following that rule and you're solving other people's problems. I guarantee you will get leads, right? And that is organic marketing, and it's going to cost you time. But like nothing we described outside of the MailChimp, you know, which is like $25 to $40 a month. Like I didn't tell you to go hire an outside firm to help you do any of those things. And there are some tools that I could like, hey, you should do webinars. Well, how are we going to do webinars? Well, you should do LinkedIn Lives. Okay. I would say like you could do LinkedIn Lives and kind of use LinkedIn and use Restream, which is what you use. And that wasn't super. That's like $20.
I think it was $20.
Right, and you get to use like LinkedIn's platform.
Yeah, but just everybody knows Ryan he's making really good points. I would say some of this is almost guerrilla marketing 201. You actually, what he says is absolutely accurate, but you actually don't even need to do that. Like you can just post pictures,
you can just post
videos, and write, and it is extremely effective.
Yeah,
you don't need to, because he's absolutely right. As you start to get good at this, you go, oh my gosh, I can do more things like this. And he's right, but I would say don't worry about that until you're ready to worry about it.
Just post if you literally.
But then when you're ready, he's absolutely right.
If you're a founder and you are passionate about solving your problem, I would be like, just post about it.
Just post about your passion.
Four times a week, right? It'd be like, and you could even do like theme days if you wanted to make it easier for you to write. Like, here's a lesson I learned this week. Here's a good conversation I had with somebody. Here's a milestone in the company. And if you're constantly just putting stuff out there of like, hey, I didn't realize that, if we'll go back to the ER doctor thing, like I didn't realize that I was talking to 5 colleagues last week, and 4 out of the 5 said that they're having this very specific problem.
Yep.
Here's how I solve it. Do you or here's how I've seen it solved in the past. You know, are there other ways that people are solving these things, right? And if someone was gonna go like, no, I can't do that. Like, how many doctors do you? I see a lot of doctors on LinkedIn, by the way.
A lot.
But like, how many doctors do you see? We'll go back to your favorite world of ortho, of like ortho docs throwing up X-rays, going like, hey, I had this patient come in with this specific problem. They're crowdsourcing.
Yeah. It's incredibly.
I don't know if patients would love that, but
It's what's happening though.
yeah,
And you have to be in that ecosystem a little bit. But so like, can I give a couple of tips that I've learned
Yep.
relative to LinkedIn and guerrilla marketing? That so when I officially decided to start posting and I started to use LinkedIn long before I started posting. And I gave myself a rule that every five people, I was going to reach out to 5 people who were kind of targets based on their title. I wasn't going to try to sell them something, which, by the way, I'm in sales. My job is to sell stuff, but I'm old enough and have enough gray hairs to know that's not how you do it. But every day I would reach out to 5 different people who fit this profile, and I would send them a LinkedIn connection request, and I would always put I would write something, and I would always say something to the effect of, hey, Ryan, I know we don't know each other, but I'm really trying to learn ER director world. And so if we can connect, I would look forward to following your content. Mark. Right? Now, not everybody accepts it. Who cares? But 3 out of 5 would accept it every single day. All of a sudden, you'd look up and I'd have a network of 70 emergency department directors, 2 of whom who post anything, but 10 of whom like things. And you start to get into the emergency department director world. Who are the thought leaders? Who are the problems? And it takes a little discipline, but you look up and all of a sudden you're now in, and it's like a listing post, like the military have, right? You have a listing post. That's number one. And number 2 is, you got to pay a little bit for LinkedIn because you're going to start to see people who are checking you out, right? And now you start to know, so whatever it is, I think it's $50 a month for that LinkedIn professional. But now you have a sense of who's looking at you. And that tells you things.
Yeah.
Right? And so and it gives you really good data analytics that are right in your phone, back to your phone. So like if you just do what Ryan was talking about, is LinkedIn, your phone, and again, we'll say CRM, but we actually mean sort of more of a marketing email campaign system that accepts all those emails that you get. Get that. And then the final thing I would say about saving money at going, like when I go to AORN, I don't buy a booth. I can't afford to go buy a booth, but I spend like $700 to go to it. And I just hang out and I have lunch and I talk to people. I don't sell stuff. I talk and listen to them. And then I get cards. I listen. And I put them in my email campaign. I keep because I just might need to reach out to them sometime.
Yeah.
And that's how you do this. That's guerrilla marketing at its simplest. Do you have any guerrilla marketing tips? I gave 3.
Do I have any guerrilla marketing tips? Yeah, I mean, not really off of anything like that you didn't say, right? And when you look at it, it's everything that you just listed, right? You said, all right, well, I want you to start posting, multiple times a week. You're going to be sharing stories. You're going to be sharing insights. You're going to be doing stuff like that, putting out interesting content, following people, interacting with people, all free. All right, you're filming stuff on your phone, facing the camera, going like, hey, here's 3 things that are really cool that I saw this week. Free. Okay. You said you start using premium. Let's say it's like $50 or $60. Yeah. Right.
I don't think it's a requirement.
No,
but I do think it's money well spent.
It's a nice thing. So now we're at like $600. And then the email is like, let's say another $400 a year.
Yeah.
You spend $1,000. I promise you, if you religiously do what you just said, you will generate leads. And
not likes, not hugs.
Like you'll generate leads, and and you spend $1,000 on it, and it's leads, and there'll be good leads, right? Because there are people who are actually interested. And like the rule of thumb is like, well, when do I get to talk about my product? 80-20, 90-10.
Yeah.
It's not that you can't talk about it. You just have to don't do it in a boring way.
Well, I think what I found, and this is interesting, is if you put like a Calendly link in there, which by the way is again, it's like $8 a month, right? Maybe people will reach out to you and say, hey, what's your deal?
Yeah, what's your deal?
What do you sell? What do you like? Because people become curious if you've been helping them and trying to help them and you've been mildly interesting. I know like that's a different podcast. How getting over that discomfort of getting started writing and just posting. I totally get that. That's easier said than done. But I do agree with you.
Yeah, and I mean, like you do stuff that is completely different than like I would never want to go like, well, Mark's basically like a med tech company. Like he's not. Okay, he does consulting work. Like
right.
Like he's not a med tech company, but the same concept would work for you. It's a little bit different about what you talk about and how you do it. But like, what I'll ask you. Two very basic questions. Outside of your trade show and some of the costs that you've just talked about, have you ever spent $1 on advertising?
No.
Have you generated lots of leads?
Yes. And business.
From organic?
All from LinkedIn organic.
All from inbound methodology, LinkedIn organic.
Have you... Might start outbound because it's, if you break me open, outbound sales falls out probably in the new year. But yeah, no, we've built this.
Yeah.
And following your guidance, right? Like you're the one who explained much of this to me, and I did some research with resources you sent me to. Don Miller is who I would tend to think of, and Seth Godin and things like that. But it's totally doable. But it's like anything. You have to sort of commit to it and do it every day. But it's not. That's why, like, I pulled you back from the 201 because you're absolutely right. But I have found when I talk about this to people, the more I start to get into that stuff, they get like, it becomes more overwhelming.
Yeah.
And
I get that, right? Yeah. Because like the thought process would be like, I need some wins. I need some wins. Because I guarantee you for you, like you're a very stubborn person. I mean that, but like you were stubborn and determined to do this, but like you didn't see growth and leads from it right away. It took some time.
Yeah, probably 9 months of posting something every 5 days a week.
And I would say like for honestly, I think if you were a small med tech founder, like it's actually going to be quicker.
Me too.
I think it would be, now I don't think it's going to be like 3 months quicker. I think it's going to be like in that 3 to 6 month period. But I think that you're going to start generating awareness and leads and, and it will take some time. It's not going to happen overnight, but it's going to happen. And I think that because like, don't take this the wrong way. They're just like, they're a little bit more in the weeds of like,
right.
They're just dealing with stuff a little bit different. And you were very passive, honestly. Like
in what way?
You were just kind of I know he's so upset. I just called him passive. Because you kind of just existed, but like you existed because you were trying to like find your way existing. Like, you didn't know who you were.
No, but I knew I needed to start.
Yeah.
And then I would figure it out. But that's not everybody's methodology.
If like the idea would be like, I'm a cardiovascular surgeon who invented this really cool thing that solves this very specific problem. Like I know what my goal is. My goal is to talk about cardiovascular surgery and this problem and problems like this problem and establish myself as an expert. And like, so you have a true North Star to go through every single day, which speeds up the process, but you got to show up 3 to 4 times a week.
Well, yeah. And I think like and it doesn't apply to everybody, but some of the best advice I've read, and you might have even been one of the people, I know I've heard it from several people, saying like, hey, what would you teach your younger self if like you could, right?
3 to 6 months ago, what would you want to learn?
Yeah, and it could be 10 years ago, 20 years ago, or 3 to 6 months ago, but like, what do you know now that you wish you knew then, right? And it doesn't have to be about that girl you didn't ask out on a date. It should be professional. Let's keep it professional. But I think like that's a good way for a lot of people to say, you almost write for yourself, to yourself.
Yeah.
And but one of the things great example things you said to me, I remember it, and it was like it actually got me over the hump of doing this, which was you said, "Who do you follow on LinkedIn?" And I named somebody who you know, and you said, "What did he post 2 weeks ago?" And I'm like, "I don't know." And you're like, "Exactly." Like if you post something and nobody cares or doesn't matter, nobody sees it anyway, and it's gone. And like no one's ever. It doesn't matter. And I remember going, "Hey, he's right. Let's just start writing stuff." But I needed that little catalytic event to get me over the top to start.
And but it's
funny.
But it's guerrilla. It didn't cost you. It cost you time.
Cost me time,
but it didn't cost you
nothing.
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 Like literally nothing.
Yeah, and what kills me is I wish if I'd have known to do this, if it even existed.
Yeah, I know you said with the laryngoscope stuff.
Oh, that business we had. Oh my God, we'd have actually been really successful.
Yeah,
I just had no idea, and that's why, like, when we talk to these small, I'm actually talking to myself 10 years ago when I talked to these med device companies, going, "Will you please call Ryan and just do what he says?" Like, because this will help your business in ways you cannot actually imagine, but you'll be glad you did in 12 months, 18 months.
And like, just so everyone, like what Mark is talking about is like Mark was going out, he was talking to people, he was getting information.
It's Cope. Go ahead.
Cope. Cope was having conversations with people. He was gathering information. He was learning so much about the industry. He had so much stuff that he could share and not cross any lines or say anything he shouldn't say or like out anybody. Like you could have just constant stream of stuff that would, like, instead of it being Mark Copeland, the value analysis whisperer, it would be like Mark Copeland, the expert of the anesthesiologist expert.
It would have been like the disposable laryngoscope wizard.
Warlord. The warlord of disposable laryngoscopes.
Yeah. Oh, it's so obvious. It's so obvious how it would have benefited me and our business. And it didn't exist, and I didn't know it, and I wouldn't have been able to do it had I wanted to.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a perfect example. I never even thought of it.
If you don't have a budget, don't make excuses. You can do it, because what my takeaway would be, I see so many companies who have really cool products. They don't have a budget, and what they do is, well, I don't have a budget, so we're just not going to do anything.
Yeah,
and that's never going to work.
I mean, that's like saying, I know it's important, but I'm just not going to. We don't worry too much about oxygen around here. Yeah, look,
you cannot survive.
You have to. You can go with a crappy shipping department and survive. You can't without marketing yourself out there, because nobody can choose what they don't know exists or doesn't exist. And that's what you have to do. And it's not the billboards. I love guerrilla marketing.
How about this? I think this is the most convincing thing I could say to somebody. I know a group that a company that has existed for 6 years. Okay? They're just really starting now.
Mm-hmm.
Their CEO said to me, when we were talking about marketing the one day, I was literally just sitting with him, having a conversation, and he was like, I feel like if I would have done this 6 years ago, people would actually know we exist.
He's absolutely right.
It was, his thought process was, I'll just worry about that in the future. I'll worry about it in the future. I'll worry about it in the future. He sat there and looked at me, and he wasn't like, feel bad for me, Ryan. He was just like, I just feel like I wasted 6 years not talking about us, because when you say our name, people go, who?
Yeah. So let's put all this together in a buttoned up package. LinkedIn.
Yep.
Or at least where your customers are, but they're probably on LinkedIn.
They're probably on LinkedIn.
Right? An email, CRM-ish, and all of those ones that we mentioned are good and work, and are very cost effective.
Yeah.
Your phone, which we mentioned, everybody's got one, so that's pretty easy. And And one thing we didn't really mention is spending the time. Half an hour a day, 15 minutes a day, bunch it up and do it, that's probably what you should do is bunch up doing things like this. And then 15 minutes a day checking the responses. Right?
Yeah. So I would say you should do for like, how would I tell someone to create content? Spend an hour. You do it Saturday morning, you do it Sunday morning, you do it whatever. Like, spend an hour, write 3, because nothing you're doing is like urgent that needs to get out. Like,
right.
You're not breaking news over here.
Right.
Spend an hour, create like 3 or 4 posts, schedule them out for the next week, spend 10 to 15 minutes a day, and treat it almost like people who are super efficient with their emails, like not you and I, who like only check their emails at like 7 a.m., lunch, and 5 p.m., and they're like religious about it.
Yeah.
Do it with that, right?
Yeah.
You check,
Yep.
You're standing in the elevator going up to your bed, like whatever you're doing, you got 5 minutes, you check it there, you check it at lunch, you check it at dinner.
Away you go. Yeah, so it's really, I think the time is the money you're spending, because the money you have to spend to do this guerrilla marketing is so little. But I'm going to tell you, it will work. You will figure it out, and you do need to do it because it's going to pump oxygen it's going to be a puff of wind in the sails of your company. I mean, It really is. And that's what we're here. So we talked about those things, Rye. Any other call to action you would have other than, again.
Just do it. Stop making excuses.
Yeah.
That's my call to action. Start now.
Yeah. Start. And if you have questions, ping Ryan or me, and we'll help if we can. I'm sure we can. But definitely get started today. So
like now. Good.
Yeah. So hopefully we broke some things. We're not breaking news.
No,
God, no. But we're trying to break open some of this stuff and teach small med device companies some of the mistakes we've made and some things we've learned that we do now and have found to be very effective so that you can get your business off the ground. So exactly. I'm Cope.
I'm the Adam Schefter of MedTech marketing, Ryan Pistone.
The Pistone bomb. Yeah. Hey, this is Breaking MedTech. See you next time.
Thanks. Bye.